So in lesson 7, we learned all about the A tag, which makes hypertext hyper. With it, you can create links between pages as well as links to specific anchor points on any page. We also focused on styling simple links to other pages by using relative or absolute addressing to identify pages. We learned that when creating links to other people's pages, it's important to include the full internet address. For each page in an ahref tag, you want to have the HTTP or HTTPS : www. and so on. We learned that in our browser we can get away with not typing the beginning part. But when you're linking to a site, the whole full link is required. We also learned that for links between our own pages, we can include just the file name and enough directory information to get from one page to another, meaning that if all the files are in the same folder, we just need the file name. If it's in another folder within that folder, you just need that folder name and file name. For example, I have all my code in one file, and then all the images are in another file. So mostly all my images are going to have the images / and image name. We talked about creating anchor points within a page and how to create links to a specific anchor. We learned how to link to our email address so that users can easily send messages. We learned how to protect our email address from spammers. And we learned methods for controlling the display of our links by using CSS. And some of the best practices for linking. And in your book, at the end, it gives you a table of HTML tags and attributes that were covered in lesson 7. So I would take a look at that. And it's a good idea to use your alternate resources to practice. I told you about W3 Schools. You can just type HTML links in Google. The first result will probably be W3 Schools. And you can do interactive examples of making links and styling links. Coming up next, I'm going to share my screen with you and show you what all these links look like in an HTML document and how to style them. Since lesson 7 talks about internal and external links, I thought I'd show you some examples of what this actually looks like when we put it all together. So I have an HTML file, and I use some of the examples from the book and I just changed them up a little bit. Make sure your HTML file has all those required tags. At this point you should be using that template every time and putting all those required tags in, and then making a new document here. So in the body of this, we have a H1. I gave it a class title so I can style it. It says sample links homepage. Here, created a div tag, which has a bunch of links. This is the main document we're working on, links.html, and this is the main page. I called that home because that is the home page. This is how to use an anchor on a page. Links.html is the name of this page. And then on the bottom here, the paragraph ID with the ID bottom, it says bottom of the page, anchor. So this is our anchor, and this is how we would link to that anchor. Just have the name of the page you're on, hashtag bottom. And I put linking to anchor location bottom. I created another page, which is in the same folder. Here I have this called lesson 7 example, links.html and link2.html. This is this second folder because it is in the same folder. We don't need anything else, just right there. This is a link, an external link to Google. Now remember we talked about that target_blank. That's so it opens in a new window, and we're going to test all this out. This is a link to a Word document. When you click this link, it will open a Word document. And here's a link to send an email message. It will open up your email software, probably Gmail if you have it, and send an email message to whatever email you type in here. It will open an email message that you can send to, and then they'll have to type it out and send it. And then here is how to use an image as a link. So I downloaded an image, and notice when we talk about file formatting early on in the lessons, In this whole folder, I have all my images in an image folder. And then all my extra documents, like my Word document here, test Word, is in this. So when we link to these, our Word document, since it's in that main folder, and then in another folder called extra, you have to do extra/text Word document. Same thing for images. Everything is in this lesson 7 example folder, but if it's in another folder, you have to put that path to it. So for our image, it's in images, and it's called balloon.jpg. Gave an alternate tag because I just linked this to eBay, and styled it because the image, if I didn't style the width and height, it would show up really big and huge on the page. This is just some filler paragraph. It's called a lorem ipsum generator. A lot of web developers use it to fill in text. It's just like a Latin random words and phrases to use as filler when you're testing your web development. So those are all our links. I styled them a little bit, so if you see what this looks like in the browser, I styled this similar to our first lab example. And you notice this is our homepage link. And notice when I'm hovering over each one of these links, it gets a little bit darker gray, and then when I click and hold, it turns blue. Styled them with our CSS properties that we learned in this book. So if you look up here, the only reason I'm using internal styling is so I can keep it on the same page when I share my screen and show you, but this should be an external document typically. So the title, this is how I styled that title. Set the border style, width, color. And then you can try that out and mess around with it. I gave this whole menu, this vertical menu, a class called vertical menu. I did that so I can stack everything on top and set the width. So notice that this width with this light gray background, I set that here to 300 pixels. Now here I said in this class, vertical menu, all of the links in that class are going to be styled like this. It's going to have this background color, text is going to be this color, display block, padding 12 pixels, text decoration none so it doesn't have the underline, and I put the font weight bold. And then when I hover over it, we say a hover. So now, because we didn't put this first, this is going to apply to all the links. I just wanted to do this and show you here that if we only want to have the links in this class, meaning in that menu, affected with this styling, we want to put that class first. So now only the links in this div with this class will be styled that way. When we hover over them, they will have this background color, and when they're active, that's when it showed up blue. It's going to turn the background color to this. So that's the styling I used to style this. So when we go over here, we'll see that every time I'm hovering over, and notice in the bottom left, it will actually tell you the path. I'm hovering over this external link to Google, and you see in the bottom left it says the address google.com. And remember, we made this target underscore blank, so this will open in a new window. So now this opens in a new window, and I can go back to this. Linking to another page in the same folder, Word document. So when we click this, it will open up a Word document. This balloon here goes to eBay and also opens in a new window. So I'm going to click this, and this will bring us to eBay. And notice here, linking to anchor at the location of the bottom. If I click this, it'll bring us to the bottom of the page right here. I'm going to show you the second page here. The second page, I only styled the title, and I put all these links in this div, but I did no class and no styling. I wanted to show you what the links look like without styling them. So when we go to page 2 here, link to another page in the same folder, I'm going to click this, and this is what the links look like with no styling. If we just simply copy the links just as they are here, they will look like this. Pretty messy, huh? So just by adding this little bit of CSS here, you can make a bunch of links in a div turn into a navigation menu like this. So that's just so you have all those examples in one place, and you see what they look like a little differently than they are in your book, and how you can apply them and what they look like in action. So you can use that. You can pause the screen right at the point and look at the code and copy some of that stuff and try it out on your own. So to summarize, after reading chapter 7 and watching the presentation and going through the example when I shared my screen, you should be comfortable with how to add a link into your HTML document. Whether you're linking to another HTML document on your own web page, or you're linking to an external document, or you're going to link to a file like a PDF or a Word document, you should be practicing adding these different types of links, because they do come up and they are common. You're going to have multiple pages on your site and have to link to those pages. And occasionally you're going to want to link to external content on your site. Remember, we talked about it's good to use the target attribute and set it to _blank so the link opens in a new window. Most external links you're going to want to open in a new window, and that's just best practice. So that is it for lesson 7. Coming up next is lesson 8.